Hello everyone, it's Cheryl Millett here, live at 5 Mondays, all things healthy. And the idea is to discuss something different or something new, and then go into what's top of mind or what's top of the day or what's current, those kind of things. And sometimes they're topics that can be talked about anytime. And then go into something that is humorous, something that is light, and typically what I'm usually doing is sharing some puns, sharing some jokes. But I've got a new book here. It's a very old book, and it illustrates a number of funnies, but I had to read them. It's very old, and so the language is different, but we'll go through at least one today, just to introduce that. So welcome everyone. How is everyone doing? That seems to be a question I care to ask people that I either bump into, haven't spoke to a long time, and yeah, even strangers. But I still continue, and today asking people, excuse me, perfect strangers, have you heard of the Great Reset? And when I usually come in and I'll say, well, Prime Minister Trudeau has brought it up, and I'm just kind of seeing how many people are aware of it. And 100% so far, no one is aware of it. So this is several people. And today I asked a couple of people and told them about it. And then just to let them know, because it's not a mass conversation. It's not a injection conversation. It's not about the testing. It's not a conversation about that. It is something around the why. Why is this happening? Now, of course, there's different pieces to the puzzle here. This is quite the elaborate puzzle, and this is the kind of puzzle that has a history, a long history. And some of it and most of it is more my beliefs. But what's front and center is the fact that we're going through the current event, as I'll call it, the CV event, and that means it's real. So there's no sense hiding behind what they call conspiracy. But if you've heard me talk about conspiracy, if you use the word conspiracy correctly, then in fact there is something happening with two or more people that is causing harm. And this is the thing that's so interesting, that seemingly they're using the word as in, oh, that's just a conspiracy, as in just sweep it under the carpet, but that's not so at all. So what is the something new? There's a little bit of quiz here for you. I'm just going to kind of ask the question. I'll go into it so you can just you can find anything. What is green capital? Okay. What is a green machine? What is a green signal? So those three things. What is a green machine? What is green capital? What is a green signal? This is one of my favorite books, and I have brought this up before with, there we go, Diana Beresford Kruger, who is actually from Ireland and was raised by her Celtic, I don't want to say Druid-like, but let's say Celtic Druid-like, yeah, in Ireland. I think they were aunts, great aunts, something, there's a bit of a story there, but this book is just a multitude of different chapters, but around nature. So what is that? Well, it's the trees. That's what the green capital is. And I want to read a little piece here to give you a more flavor, because she's such a creative writer, and I won't do it any justice by giving it a summary or a quick scenario. So, green machine. We have come a long way since the Middle Ages, when the illegal cutting down of an oak tree carried a horrible punishment. The thief was shoved against a tree and his belly button nailed to the bark. He was then forced to walk around the tree in what soon turned into a death march. The 8.5 meters or 28 feet or so of his extended intestines ended up wrapped around the tree in a coil. The thief was left to die slowly. Greed was not new then. It was definitely not new now. And in fact, according to the report by Matthew Hansen, in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in the United States, about 3% of the entire global forests that were standing in 2000 were gone by 2005. And nobody in the corporate world of the timber industry has lost a belly button. Now, when I read that at first, I had not heard that before. That was completely new to me. Now I'm going to bring it to current here, and then I'm going to talk about those three, green machine, green capital, and green signal in a moment. But here, where I live, is an oak forest. Now I don't believe it was natural, from what some people say. Good afternoon, Ferdinand. And so here, if somebody is to cut down a tree, they have to go through great lengths to prove that it's okay to cut it. It's not one of these large oaks that they just want to make room for an addition. So they are protected here in the area I am, which is by Casa Loma here in Toronto. They're protected. Now, what has happened in the past, and I mean recent past, is they will slowly kill the tree, or they will cut it down in the middle of the night. I know that's a bit of an exaggeration, but what happens when the tree comes down? And in some cases, they are promising to put up and plant 3 or whatever 4 trees to replace the tree that they're taking down. So some of these things are happening. But in the case of the green machine, I want to bring that to light as it is a machine. The tree is a machine. It is producing oxygen for us. So therefore, it's a machine, a very healthy machine, and having them is important. The green capital, now this would be going back in history of trees, was the fact that in one case, man who used his farm had hit a wall in the dirty 30s, let's say, and he did not have food for his animals, so he let them loose in the forest. And he had sheep. That's what it was. And when he released them into the cedar woods behind his house, they emerged from the winter looking well. Their number significantly increased by the birthing of lambs. And later, he would fell the tree and use it for furniture, whatever. I mean, it's capital, right? It's capital, and they're able to have these trees. Were able to, when in need, could use it as capital if they need anything. But the interesting thing about is to actually let animals go, and they kind of know where their home is at the end of the day. They go and they thrive and they eat and forage essentially. And then they are back again. The third one that I mentioned was green signal. Now, the idea around a green signal is to determine when it is time to plant your crops. So depending on the trees you have, depending on whatever land, enough sunshine, enough warmth, those kind of things, the trees will actually signal when it is a good time to do planting. So it goes through this in a little bit more detail. But isn't that interesting? The lime green signal was the seasonal clock they used for planting the corn that was a staple for millennia. This is the Diana's talking about the Aboriginal people. So how interesting is that? I mean, this goes beyond having the shade that the trees provide, which would kind of keep the moisture on the land when you have so much shade. If you're just having sun, the whole day, if you have any potted plants, if you're familiar with that, you're gonna have to water them. Like for me, on the 3rd floor, having my garden pots up there, the larger the pot, the better. But full sun for the majority of the day, getting that sun means I have to go and water them twice a day. So for a little bit of shade, and what these trees do, it doesn't dry up. It doesn't dry up, as in deserts exist. So the drier, the plants can't survive, and they have that moisture. Let's see what else they say. So besides the oxygen, besides the beauty of it, the beauty of the trees and the backdrop, the colors, the leaves, the uniqueness of the trees, the mushrooms that require, you need to have trees. You need to have that beautiful moist ground and plenty of leaves to cover and make those perfect spots for the mushrooms, right? So all those kind of things is there. So that's what I want to talk about today is the something new is in that light of knowing what trees give us is much more than just the beauty and the coolness and the shade. They give us those other things as well. So let's go into truths. Truths is going to be probably one of those words you're going to see more often than less often because of the nature of the games that are going on right now. Now, what is truth? And I just want to kind of put this out there because quite often when we're hearing information, especially if it isn't right from the horse's mouth, it isn't an experience that you've either had, it's always one step up if the person had the experience themselves. But if you go through life, you know that people can embellish things or they can say things. So just a little bit of a tier here, as in truths. And so as we hear information out there, I don't kind of jump on the bandwagon anymore. The idea is to listen with calmness and to take in the information, almost observe the information, if I say it that way. But listening to information gives us awareness, regardless of anything else, truths or partial truths or some truths, but not all truths. And this is the idea that's happened in clubs, let's say, or in cults, or in certain books, or in certain theories, is that there are partial truths. And when we get one kernel of truth, we think that everything that comes around that narrative or that book or that theory must be all true, but it's not the case. I just kind of lay this out. I love laying this out because when you don't have the experience of things, and this is, I was taught by my teachers on this, and it made complete sense. This was about 10 years ago, and it just like hit me as in, yes, yeah, it's language, but it also brings more to the table by talking about it, that if you hear or read something, you have a choice. And the choice is to believe it or not to know it or not. You may feel that there's truth to it, for sure, but you don't really know it to be true in the sense of you having that personal experience. See the difference? So, in essence, when you have conversations or you're hearing information, you can say to yourself, do I believe that is true or not? And what are some of the bases? Or do you park it, as I do? I park it in my brain of mine and see if there's some truth. Does it go together with other pieces? Because one of the things I'm very aware of is that if somebody says, this is true, and then somebody says, nope, that's not true, well, they both can't be right, right? They both can't be right. So the idea is to kind of step back even further and just take in information, and you're either going to choose to believe it or not, or you're just going to be neutral with it. It's parked there and it will be there until uncannily it is seemingly kind of truth. But truths in some ways may be real for some and not so much for others. So it can get a little tricky, how sometimes you'll get explained something and they'll say, but or this is the, or what do they say? This is the exception, right? The exception. I like to think we can paint things black and white, but it's not, I don't think that's a good way to do it. Awareness is very important more than ever, and we'll hear that word as well next to truths, is to be somewhat aware. But I have to say, I think I watched a video the other day. Again, thank you for sending me videos and information. I think her name was Michelle Ann Titler. Yes, Titler. And she has armor on her. And if you've ever listened to her video, at least I listened to this one, she has a lot of armor. She doesn't take any guff, and is instant karma as far as she's concerned with things. But she's got her way of looking at things. But at the end of the day, as she says, she can handle the truths. She can handle, I guess, digging deeply. As I was talking to you about the disclosures and Hunter Biden and how crazy it was. And again, I didn't post it as in direct links or what, because of the imagery that it would impart. And again, I watched, I watched her video. Michelle's video was almost like the last thing I did last night. Just a little bit tune on because I had been so busy and hadn't had time to watch things for a few days. Off the grid, I'll call it, or off the social media grid. Anyway, the things that she talked about played in my mind before I went to sleep. But not only that, I dreamt them into my dreams. And so really being careful as to what you put into your mind, into your thoughts. I'm aware of that. I can throw them out. But when it comes to dreaming, it happens more just before I go to bed. But they were in my dreams. Creepy, crazy, and I was trying to get away. I'm coming down this ladder, but no, you can't get away. And what else happened? Yes, and they were talking about right out in the open about what they talk about as far as eating and consuming and drinking of. And it was just crazy. And it went on. It seemed like it could have been my whole night, probably in and out of it. But you kind of remember at the end of waking up out of it. So there's enough about awareness, and I'd like to say everybody and anybody, and I just send links and go willy-nilly on it, but the idea is not everybody can manage to want to understand the deep dark side that's going on, has been going on for whatever millennia. And so just be cognizant. Now, I wouldn't want to watch and hear that stuff all the time. I surely wouldn't want to do it even on a regular basis, be it weekly. But the idea is I know I can handle it myself, and I know I can have conversations with people to tell me some really horrific things. But the idea is jumping into the space of vibration is extremely important. So then I said, what do we do? What do we do? Yes, I'm going to jump into something here. I know I opened it. And just timing, because I had put up what do you do about it, and this is what I've been saying to people. Once again, if you want to raise your vibration, it is essential to master your thoughts. Now, you have heard of these words, self-mastery. I've even mentioned of the academy that's opened, which is the International Academy of Universal Self-Mastery. Self-mastery. It is mastering your thoughts, for sure, but it is also learning to observe your thoughts as well. And then it's speaking to yourself and your thoughts and being able to do that, because we have something called an ego. Now let me just see if there's, yeah. So I love this line because, once again, if you want to raise your vibration, it is essential to master your thoughts. But there are more important pieces to the puzzle. So there's definitely different ways here. That's why I want to talk about. I love talking about games. I love talking about things in pieces and pieces to the puzzle. But mastering your thought is probably your thoughts, which most of the thoughts you have are probably not even yours at all. Not even, how can I say, to the true thoughts, the simple thoughts that you would have that would be non-judgmental, non-expectation, non-judgmental. Those true thoughts, which is just being in the now and usually a clear head, to tell you the truth. It's very peaceful, extremely peaceful to be in that space. But I understand people doing the counseling more and more, that thoughts, to look at your thoughts is a first step. To observe your thoughts is a big step. Now let's talk about the ego a little bit, because the ego comes in with that, okay? It's almost as if, how would I say the ego is? You can't get rid of it, okay? We have been programmed to believe ego. Oh, you got an ego, you know, you're bigger, your head, whatever, your head's bigger than your hat, you've got a big head and stuff. That kind of ego is something that most people are familiar with. And that's only the tip of the iceberg, really, only the tip of the iceberg. When it comes to ego, you cannot get rid of it, okay? It is impossible to get rid of. It is not something you want to get rid of, because think of it this way. When you see a car drive by and you recognize maybe something's right, something's wrong, it's your neighbor, blah, 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 whatever it is, just that unfolding, now I've just kind of painted a little story there, but just that unfolding is egoic thinking, where you're just going, I see a car go by. I mean, it can sound very childish, but I'll say it that way just to get across what your natural ego is. So it's like a child who's small and going, wow, that puppy dog runs fast. Oh, that one runs faster. Oh, it's a bigger dog. I mean, you're just kind of observing life in itself and seeing it in its beauty, in its nature, and in its not beautiful self. But you're able to observe it quite simply. Where the egoic mind goes to, oh, is in many different, if you can think of all the negative emotions that exist out there, any of the trauma that people would have, keeping people small, keeping people feeling guilty, keeping people feeling they're not good enough. All of those are egoic thoughts that don't serve you. Okay? And that's most of the thoughts. Worrying about this. Oh, this person's not wearing that. Oh, I better call on the business next door. They seem to be, better narc on them. All of these things without, critical thinking and common sense, it just kind of gets people kind of going in all kinds of places. I wanted to talk about ego primarily because of raising your vibration. It kind of all goes together here. And so your ego, as far as the egoic mind, or some people call it altered ego. I'm not even sure if that's the right word anymore. A negative ego is another way some people talk about it. Let's talk about as an ego that has, what can I can see? Let loose. Let's say it's kind of let loose because we didn't grow up understanding it beyond you're just egoic, you think you're better than everybody else, that kind of, you got a big ego. We didn't really have an appreciation for how things in our life actually created certain feelings and emotions that didn't serve us, but hey, you had the experience. And it's your first experience, perhaps, in feeling whatever it was. It's life. It's experiencing life and having more compassion for other people. Obviously, it's a bigger topic than I could even cover here. But let's wrap all that up. So in truth, we have an ego. And this ego, in its natural sense, is something that allows us to see our world and be able to describe our world, be able to learn about our world and observe our world. And talking like a child with me, oh, red car goes by, that's a lovely red color. It's just observing in a very, just, you can get descriptive. You could probably write a book on every day. We write our dreams down to do. You can get very descriptive, of course you can. But you can actually get very simple. But how you react to what is coming into your, how can you say it, into your vision, let's say, into your day, how you react and where you react may be stuff in the past. But because that part of the egoic mind has these stories, it can really play with your thinking. Well, this person didn't do that. It must mean they're doing that. At a certain point in their life, they had to have witnessed or experienced that people lie. They had a person who lied to them or cheated on them. That's a good one. And so they go through life thinking, oh, I wonder if this person's cheating on That's egoic thought that would come in, that would say, I wonder if this person is cheating on you. Start getting your mind thinking like that. That's ego, part of your mind, which the egoic mind is part. That's the running amok part that kind of happens. So at times, hi Brock. At times, I think the path in all of this is going to be unique to everyone. So you're going to have your stories, you're going to have what's happened to you, and this is where your thoughts will go. And your thoughts are going to kind of go in those paths based on past experiences. But I am actually going to interject here that watching TV, listening to other people's story can also get your ego all wrapped up in those stories as well. Not just your personal experiences, but the other things as well. And this is why TV for most children should be thrown in the closet, not bottled up, put to the wayside. Can it be used in some ways where you can have discussions? Absolutely. But there is, you have to bring all of that into where the egoic mind may go to. Not just red car passing, beautiful red car, like the color, not that simplistic, but where the negative chatter will start to come that way. Ego and reaction comes from different portions of the brain. Now, Brock is a very, very intellectual guy, but I am going to mention, because I think Brock, we're not the name has changed, but this is something you can look forward to. What do you think of this title? Right? What do you think of this title? Intellectuals Cafe. And it really is about talking, just like I'm talking about you. You get a subject and you kind of talk about it, and you have a small group, so then you can have plenty of time to everybody to talk and interact and discuss and share what you think about it. So it comes down to the chemicals in the endocrine system. Well, there's a few things. Yeah, there's a few things actually going on. Here's what I will say about it. The brain is going to react, of course. So if you have a fear, if you have a thought of fear, things are going to come that way. If there are certain chemicals or things, as I will say, chemistry, is that if that chemistry is changed any which way or shape or form, then it can have the opposite effect, where you could maybe get angry. I'll use the liver as an example. The liver, if you have a congested liver, it's tied to anger, so they say. And, therefore, so it seems like there's not, I'm not saying absolutely what it is, but there's definitely a flow back and forth from all of this. So it's what we can observe, what's happening in the body and why. But our thoughts are things too. And thoughts will determine, well, whether you pick it up or you don't, whether you run, whether you don't run, whether you smile or whether you don't smile. And it'll be different for everybody. So life is very interesting. And then there's absolutely the Freud's defense mechanism hypothesis. Yeah, you're just going to have to check out, in time permitting, when it comes and unfolds, Intellectuals Cafe, so we can have all these interesting conversations. And yeah, there's a little bit of research, but that's fun too. Ego, a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, this talk of ego is a great talk. It's a great conversation. I am mindful that we can easily go to the dictionary and look it up and see what they say. Or maybe there are handfuls or several ways of looking at the ego, how people have placed it. The simple way, thoughts come from the vagus nerve, from the gut bacteria. Interesting. Well, I got more to say about that one, Brock. Got a lot more to say about that. It's very interesting. You've got these layers. That's how I'm going to say. And the communication, that's probably how I will say it. The communication that's coming, flow back and forth, be it gut bacteria, be it bacteria in general, be it even viruses, right? So jumping into that is viruses is a detoxification method, right? So if you get sick, now if I could say, and I'll bring it to light just a little bit, Vomiting. What's vomiting? It's a survival mechanism. What's sneezing? A survival mechanism. I'm just going to try to simplify it. And diarrhea, survival mechanism. Right? So you have these survival mechanisms. What if viruses who at that which they are in our body, just like they say about cancer cells, mutated cells, I prefer to call them, but these cells, whether they're cells that die off for the reasons they do, toxins, chemicals, whatever, they can die off. There's this scenario, where the viruses, if you have too much mucus in your body, if you have an accumulation in your body, then the body will kick into action. You'll get sick a lot easier or more often than another person. So detoxification is so important. How our system works in its entirety is so important. And for me, because we do have cell-to-cell communication or environment communication between cells and its environment, then you have this flow of communication that will happen. Oh, okay, it's time to, we got it, it's just too mucusy, we got to, bronchitis or things like that. Now, if you don't allow it to get out of the body and you're actually holding it back in, suppressing it with medications, drying it up with medications, it's got to cause you problems in the long run. This is where people will have repeated bouts of pneumonia. Oh, if you've had pneumonia, which again is more of a chronic scenario, bronchitis, but different for everybody. What you've done is you've taken something and you've pushed it back in, and you haven't got it out. Yeah, mucus is awesome. It is what's the factor of moving things out of the body. So whether it's vomiting, discharge, mucus, ulcers, pus coming out, these are all ways, to clean out. But we have to understand certain things, which I'll call it safety first, which is cleanliness is important, and all that kind of stuff. So when they talk about today in this event, viruses, it was so crazy when I first heard him going, what a perfect piece to the corruption puzzle is that they're using this. First of all, most people can't see it. Secondly, a lot of people don't understand it in its natural sense. The body doesn't do anything that, it's a miracle. It doesn't do anything that isn't helping you to survive or thrive. You just kind of understand. I mean, our environment is so important. Our thoughts and our thinking is mixed. They say mind body connection, right? And well, I'm going to further elaborate, Brock. You are what you eat, but you are not what you eliminate. But in essence, some of the stuff that comes out with the elimination is things that are there to help you eliminate. And it's okay, because it'll just repopulate and it'll come back. So the body's a miracle. That's my simple. We can keep things simple. It actually helps for more people to grasp the thing. So what else was I going to talk about? John, yes. So thoughts are vibration. If you are thinking positively, you raise your vibration. You become lighter. You don't become as dense and heavy. And if you are stressed, worried and stuff, which is the non-smiling, if we had to think of what's going to be on your face, if you're depressed and all these kind of things, it kind of checks elimination, if you want to think of it that way. It holds things in. I'll give you another example for female body. Fibroids, right? So in the uterus, fibroids or toxic material would just ball up and they would stay there. So obviously, good water and good breathing, and water especially, is very helpful within our body. But if you're holding on to feelings and emotions, it is happening with your body. That tensing the muscles, tensing the body, that holds on to. Now you got to think of detoxification has to happen from every cell in your body. Every cell. I'm not saying it doesn't happen from anywhere, but every cell. So every cell has a metabolic waste, or the waste from producing energy for your cell to thrive, for your whole body and system to thrive. So the idea is you need to get rid of that waste, even the waste that we make up ourselves. And when we don't, and when we get tight and tense, then things build up. I'll give you another example. If you go to fall, this is a physical fall, what happens when you do that? You tighten up, you tense up from the fall. And typically you're moving slow after that, or you don't move, or you do that. But as animals do, they shake it off. And this shaking off, loosening up, throwing it off, moving on, even for children, what it would do is it allows for elimination. So the lactic acid buildup in our body, and athletes are understanding that more and more. I remember running a marathon. If I had known this then, I would have been so much better off, because the lactic acid buildup of after running marathons was so crazy. You take a hot bath. But if I had known, I would have shook my body for the rest of the day and the next day, and it would have helped immensely. So I've given this to athletes too. Give this to athletes. They're doing weights. When they're doing weights and their resistance, they're tightening, they're tensing. All they have to do is every time they do their set is to shake their muscles. And I've done this with some bodybuilders, and they do tell me it's much better. It's much better. So there you go. Mitsubishi Cam's razor. What is that, Brock? Oh, Cam's razor. Something new for me to learn. But the idea is body experience equals mental fruition. Mental fruition and mental fruition, body experience. Yes, yes. It's all body-mind, right? Body-mind. So many examples of certain things, for sure. But the idea is shake it off. So if you fall down on the ice, I know it's winter here up in Toronto, but if you fall down or go to fall down, because you're going to catch yourself doing that, shake it off. Just think about the animals. My dog will do it. We'll go out for a walk, and there's at certain point in times he just like shakes, right? Shakes it off. I don't know what he's shaking off, but that just, it releases things. Hey, don't even wait till you fall. Don't even wait until you actually almost fall or anything like that. Do it. Just keep shaking, shake off your day, shake off whatever. You had an experience, confrontate whatever it is, getting into negative thoughts, your altered ego, let's say. Just shake it off physically. Do the motion of shaking it off. See what it does for you. Pain, stimuli, mental health. Pain is interesting, Brock. Pain is a very interesting. That adds a whole other layer to what I'm talking about. But definitely lactic acid buildup causes pain. People who have too big fibroids causes pain. It's just pressure, the pressure that comes within the body do that. So I think cancer is very big on this, and if you've read my book, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. If you know exactly what I'm talking, because those stages of disease, some of these pieces, it all has to tie together. If it's simple truths, it ties together. And so cancer has an element of tightness or tension or not detoxifying properly. Yeah, let's do it, Brock. Yes. Anyway, I'm gonna go into some jokes here. Gonna go into some jokes. Gonna lighten it up. We've got to raise our vibration. And so this is the book here. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'll just show it to you. There's no fancy cover here. The Master Book of Humorous Illustrations. Now, no pain, no gain. Let's change that for an Ann. The Master Book of Humorous Illustrations. So I expected I was going to open this book and see pictures and illustrations, but there's no pictures in here, nothing. But it is illustrating the humor through words. But it just goes to show you how thoughts and observations, you have illustrations and you think they're going to be pictures, but they're not necessarily. So I've got a couple of jokes here, the usual puns. I'm going to say these first, and then I'm going to go into, if I didn't mark it, but I'm going to see. Okay, yeah, it's a good one. Okay, Bicycles can't stand on their own. They're too tired. Okay, that's one. Number two. How do you find Will Smith in the snow? Well, Will Smith is a Hollywood actor, so you'd have to have watched television or at some point. How do you find Will Smith in the snow? You look for the Fresh Prince. There you go. Haha. Okay, now I'm going to read this one here. It's a little bit longer, but at the same time, and some of these were a bit dark in here. And let me just see what year this is. To Jack from your friend Sid, Mazeltov, December 4th, 1954. But let's actually just see when the year is. Oh, it's got Roman numerals. Can I read it back? Can I understand it quickly? Let's say 1,005. Yeah, less, no. 8. 300. No, 50 to 10. That's 38. So I'm going to say 1938. MCM XXX V111. So I know it's 38, the last one, and so the century probably 1,000. Right, 1,000 less 100, so 1938. There we go. I don't know about any about you, but my kids, when they first learned Roman numerals, I tested them for a little bit because, so 1938, let's read this here. I hope I have enough light because it's not the greatest. All right. The big car was speeding toward a railroad crossing when a fast-moving freight train moved into sight. Immediately, the men in the front seat began an argument as to whether or not they could beat the train. "Don't get excited," cried the driver. "I tell you, I can easily make it." "Well, I tell you, you can't," shouted the other man. "The train will beat us by minutes." And the driver kept increasing the speed of the car while the argument continued. And finally, the man in the rear seat, who up to this time had remained quiet, frantically clutching the sides of the car, could stand it no longer. "Well," he shouted, "I don't care who wins this race, but I hope it ain't no tie." Anyway, there you go. So that's a cute book. We'll see what else is there. I'll flip the pages. So as usual, Descartes. Well, he's black. Boom, pain no gain. It's so much fun to actually converse amongst each other. You're going to like Intellectuals Cafe. I'll put a link when it's all settled, right, Brock? And we'll go there. So I'm just going to wrap up. We're 40 minutes, 45 minutes in. Any comments, questions, whatever, I'll put in a couple of links. I don't think I went into too much here. Let me just see the idea. We'll talk about none of that other stuff for now. How's that? But I might have sent some of you a link for tonight's call with Sylvain Henry. Definitely Canada's in a unique position versus some other countries where they are rising up, and even the police are joining in. So it is the time, and they're going to be communicating some solutions, and of course, with all the groups coming together in Canada, it's a win-win, unity, uniting. And if you want that link, let me know, and I will private message you that link for tonight. There's only 100 people. I think that's kind of a limit as to where he has the free Zoom. So if you're going to come on, make sure you come on as soon or quickly. Right time at 7:30 tonight. So if you're available tonight and interested in that, Canadians, there's some people from the U.S. too come on as well, because we're united, we're unity. So there you go. So thanks for all the comments. Thank you, Brock. Thank you, Ferdinand, and all the thoughts that all you good people out there were thinking. I'm talking about thoughts and ego. So take care. Enjoy your evening. And maybe I'll see you on Sylvan Henry's call tonight. I think he's having a call just about every night, so I pick and choose one or two in the week, and that's when I'll, if there's time permitting, I'll play my harmonica. But at the end of the day, it will be what it'll be. Let's unite, and part of that is awareness. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Until next live at 5. We'll see you then. Bye for now.